Are you appointed by God? If the answer is no, I'm not appointed by God, then thank you very much. I don't want to hear about it because you don't have the right to talk in the name of God.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello and welcome everybody. You're tuned in to the Mahdi Has Appeared TV. There's a phone number on the screen and you're watching Where Is God Today? I'm joined today by my very, very good brother Waqar. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me, my brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. God bless you, bro.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining me, bro.
It's my pleasure. Thank you
Epic.
for having me.
We have a pretty...
Yeah, we have an interesting show today.
Yeah, like we've seen many comments on YouTube. We've seen like a lot of kind of, let's call it mockery of the headdress that Abu Sadiq, from whom his peace, chooses
It's basically
to wear, right?
mockery due to ignorance.
Ignorance.
And we're here to dispel that ignorance today.
Absolutely. So the question that arises is, what's with the beanie? Why does Abu Sadiq, from whom his peace, or the Mahdi, wear a beanie hat? Like, doesn't make sense. But there is a reason for it, and let's say that headdress has been a form of identity for a very long time, and Abu Sadiq, from whom his peace, in response to this question, put out an 8-minute video that is available on his channel. The Mahdi Has Appeared on YouTube, and in a very sort of, as is normally the case with Abu Sadiq, from whom his peace, a very, very precise and very easy to understand, with like complete ration and logic, explains why the beanie hats, like what the purpose is and so on.
I mean, if you look back into history, most of the followers of the Abrahamic religions, they had some type of head attire.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you go back into the time of Jesus, they didn't actually wear any hat or any turban, but they would cover their heads. Yeah. And you will see in the clip when it's played, the Father, from whom his peace, mentions that. I mean, it was in the time of Paul that where all this was changed. In the men folk used to wear a scarf, like a scarf thing on their head. Basically, the head was covered. But he changed all that, and he said that the women should cover their heads.
It's in one of the clips we've got, for sure.
Yeah, and the men shouldn't.
Yeah, it's a
bit strange.
Very strange.
I mean, and the explanation is that a woman whose hair's, publicly shown, exposed, she doesn't have that respect, and her head should be shaved as a punishment.
That's a bit severe, isn't it?
It's a bit severe. And if you come to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, you will see that it was actually a turban. That was a mark of honor in the society of that time. And to have your head uncovered was not really good. It was like if the Arabs wanted to be seen as honorable people, their heads had to be covered. They had to have a turban, and you will see that through many cultures.
For sure.
I mean, some are actually very strict. I mean, I'm from Pakistan originally, and there are certain areas in Pakistan, especially some of the tribal areas. Towards the north, and you will see that the covering of the head is so important there that if you go there and you don't have something on your head, you could actually get arrested and killed. They take that very seriously.
Didn't know that. That's a bit shocking, man.
We're talking about a hat, but there's so much history and so much controversy, and you would think that something that we think is pretty insignificant in this day and age was actually something that was looked upon and was very, very important to people, especially in certain cultures where it was a mark of honor.
Yeah, agreed. So without the head attire, you'd be dishonored or dishonorable.
Yeah, this is how they looked at it at that time.
And that's, it's a significant thing with conservative societies and so on. Yeah. Okay, now we want to bring up the screenshot. So let's put up our first picture. This is the episode in question. This is, again, from the Mahdi Has Appeared TV. And you can search out the thumbnail or you can search out the title. And please do investigate the Mahdi Has Appeared TV yourself, because it's incredible. It's absolutely outstanding in terms of content. The episode itself is called Why Abba al-Sadiq Wears a Black Hat. Yeah. And like I said, it's a very short video. I think we'll play our first clip.
Covering one's head or wearing a headdress or a hat or a cap has long been associated with religion. In Judaism, as you know, Jews, practicing Jews, they cover their head, especially when praying, but some cover their head most of the time with the yarmulke or kippah. And the reasoning for that is because they want to constantly be reminded that there is something greater than themselves that is above their heads, to constantly have the fear of God on their minds or on top of their heads, right? And it's also a sign of humility, right? And being humble. The same thing, or the same practice we find taking place in Islam. It skips over Christianity, even though Jesus himself and the disciples used to cover their heads with a particular headdress. And you can see this taking place in many of the artwork and the depictions of Jesus and the disciples. And Jesus and the disciples were Jews, and so the practices that the Jews were practicing at that time, and the way that they dressed was the same that way that Jesus and his companions dressed. Paul, however, he wanted to make a statement, and so he forbid men to wear headdresses, and he made it obligatory that females wear headdresses. So he kind of reversed the Judaic tradition from being one where the men covered their heads and their hair, to being one that the women covered their head and their hair. And he said that God wouldn't accept the prayers of the woman unless she did otherwise.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I thought, it is. The fact that it has been obviously something connected to religion.
Yeah, it's a mark of honor, and the most important thing is it's a mark of humility.
Humility and a reminder that there is a greater power above, right?
Yes.
That wow. Makes sense, right? Yeah. And so it's been there in Jewish tradition. It's been there like it was supposed to carry on through Christianity. Yeah. But as you said, and as Abba Sadiq from His Peace made clear, the imposter Paul,
came
and made his mark by reversing it.
Have you seen this is always a sunnah in religions, especially the Abrahamic religions? There's always, after the Prophet, this imposter.
Absolutely.
That somehow comes in and he gets control of everything, manages to convince the people. He doesn't come with any will, doesn't come with anything. It's all hearsay.
Yeah.
And he presents hearsay. And he actually makes a religion out of that hearsay.
Exactly.
And you get a messenger that comes with a will, with a divine appointment, and no one's listening to him.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange?
It's very strange, and it's quite fitting when you think about it, because, okay, so Paul obviously is a part of the patriarchy, like where they oppress women. Yeah. And that oppression of women is manifest in this kind of, you know, like attitude towards them. And it's quite sad when their decisions, as in the imposter's decisions, impact on women and it becomes attributed to God.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like
it gets attributed to God and his messenger.
Right.
When actually it never came out from the mouth of the messenger.
Right. It's always the opposite. They empower women and glorify women and treat them as a sanctity that cannot be violated, right? Yeah. And this is the thing, like, it's very hypocritical. It's very sort of clear that this individual who does come out with this kind of thing is a hypocrite and doesn't actually respect, you know, God or God's creation, really. Yeah,
he doesn't at all. Yeah. I mean, if we analyze it, and let's look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family. I mean, you get, look, my question is, how come all the so-called scholars of religion have taken upon themselves to wear the attire of the prophets, follow the dress code, for example, the dress code of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, but they neglect to follow what he teaches.
Yeah, the teachings, exactly.
And for example, it's like if you go back to the calamity of Thursday, you'll see the Prophet asking for a pen and paper. You have with him his companions, his so-called father-in-laws, and they followed him and been his companions throughout his journey. They know who he is. They know what he's like. They know he does not speak apart from any inspiration. And what he speaks is the truth. So when he asks for a pen and paper, it's like, listen, we love you very much. Yeah, but the thing is, we can't give you this pen and paper because we're gonna do it our way after you.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's very disrespectful, really.
It's like, oh Muhammad, we will take what you give us, but we're not going to honor it because we're going to change a few things for our own personal gain and our greed.
Yeah.
And the thing is, then they carry on to say that, okay, whatever book you have, whatever sunnah you leave, we're going to interpret it our way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it happens to each and every prophet
and messenger.
Okay, so we don't want to rely on the messenger for any type of interpretation. And if we Muslims disagree amongst ourselves, we'll disagree. We'll call each other kafirs, and we'll call jihad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our solution. This is what is left of our situation. And this is the sorry state of the Muslims today.
Very sorry state, and I agree with that completely. It is a tragedy that the so-called believers in these prophets and messengers who are divinely appointed and clearly leave a successorship after them are sort of disrespected in this manner, whereby the so-called believers literally like dishonor them and take away from what they've left them that which suits them and nothing more.
Because it shows that the people, as Abu Sadiq al-Islam says, that the people, they don't like a living messenger.
Yeah, they don't.
And if you look back into history, you will see that while the messenger is alive and amongst the people, not many people are interested. It's usually a handful.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. But as soon as that messenger leaves the earth, you will get someone that appears on the scene. You will get your Pauls, and you'll get your Samris, you'll get your Umars and your Abu Bakrs and your Usman. You will see him coming. Yeah. And they will say, what a great guy he was. What an amazing prophet. Beautiful teachings. By the way, we are his successors. Now, from now on, you will take the religion from us. We will tell you the interpretations and what to do with everything. And this is it. And people, the thing is, what I don't understand is, and people accept it. They won't question it, even though they were alive. Some people were alive when they saw how the Prophet dealt with the people, what the Prophet brought, and actually what the Prophet left behind and what he said. But because of peer pressures, fear of life, fear of losing something, fear of losing one's wealth or family, they keep quiet and they let the lie become a manifest truth that has no basis at all in history or at all in religion.
I was just about to say, like, history basically gives people the opportunity, like it's a God-given opportunity, but history records that you as an individual were at X and at Y. What stance did you take at X and what stance did you take at Y? Right? And it's obviously that complete free choice where you're not obliged, right? Unless you have that sort of foundation within you that where does my loyalty lie? Is my loyalty with God, or is it with that which is other than God? And depending on what your honest answer is, will determine what stance you choose to take and how you act and live. So in terms of headdress, today we have obviously the amalgamation of all the Jewish traditions and all that manipulation and twisting in the Christian religion. And if we can bring up the pictures, we can see the different headdress that the Jews have. And obviously that's got history and it's connected to this concept of constantly remembering that God is above you.
Is above you.
Right?
There's something above your head.
Exactly, that, 100%. And then we have the Christian attire, like the Christian headdress, and that's totally different. And the thing that's crazy is Christianity is an extension of Judaism. It's supposed to be like...
It's what the Father of Islam calls it, basically. Like a sect of Judaism.
Exactly. It's supposed to be like a form of Judaism, but it's gone so far off that the headdress that the Christian clergy wear today, is it has no connection to Jesus at all. Peace be upon him.
No, absolutely not.
But that's just for those with eyes to see and ears to hear.
That's what we explained. That usually what the Prophet brings, it's not usually what the people end up with at the end.
As for Islam, let's bring up our next clip. This is very interesting.
And in Islam, we find that the tradition that existed in Judaism pertaining to men covering their hair continued on. And we find that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to cover his hair, and the Arabs that were following Islam also, they used to cover their hair. They used to wear a particular type of headdress, which was called a turban. And most people are familiar with it till this very day, because in the Middle East, a lot of the Arabs, they still wear it as part of their normal daily attire. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the narrations, he states, the turbans are the crowns of the Arabs. Whenever they leave them, they leave their honor or their dignity. And so he associated the turban with the honor of the Arab, and he said that if you don't want to lose your honor, then wear the turbans. And whenever the Arabs would abandon their turbans, they would abandon that honor and dignity that comes with it. So he made it not obligatory to wear. It wasn't a must that you wear it, but it was strongly recommended, obviously, that a person wears a headdress.
Okay, so the headdress was a sign of honor, and we see that the Arabs and Muslims held on to this concept. They wear this, well, the clergy wear very specific headdress, and that's to distinguish themselves, but the Arabs in general, the Muslims, they have headdress, and they held on to this concept of holding on to their honor, but they dishonored their prophet, they dishonored their messenger when they turned their back, as you said, during the calamity of Thursday, and they dishonored themselves when they went back on what they had committed to during Ghadir Khum.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So here we have X and Y, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
You're at X, Ghadir Khum.
Yeah.
Imam Ali alayhi salam is like declared as the successor, and everybody who's there, over 70,000, between 70 and 100,000 people were witness to this and declared their pledge of allegiance to Imam Ali alayhi salam. And then at stance Y, like the stance they took at event Y, which was the calamity of Thursday, where they said no, or even more specific, the Saqifa of Banu Sa'ida, when they elected Abu Bakr to be the successor of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he had no right to that. That's a very dishonorable, set of actions.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned in the XY thing. I mean, we can look at it this way, that you have the appointment of Imam Ali, peace be upon him, in front of thousands.
Yeah, tens of thousands, definitely.
I mean, they all know what the Prophet said, what he meant. And then all of a sudden you have this massive gap in Islamic history where there's like a collective amnesia. And it's like no one remembers this, only a few people. And the few that do remember, it's like, I think he meant this, I think he said this. No, he wasn't saying that he's the master after me. No, he's just like a friend. You've heard all this before. I think the audience have heard it as well.
It's despicable, man.
And then you go into the appointment in Saqifa, which they did as a collective. I mean, if you ask the Muslims today how it was done, they'll say it was
legitimately, and it was above
legitimately, and the whole of the Muslim Ummah was there to represent. Which mean you and everyone knows, we can look into history, not everyone was there.
Of course.
We didn't have planes and trains and automobiles then. You couldn't get people from Yemen to come in overnight.
For sure.
To put a vote in and anything. So it was actually, I mean, look, we have an event that has thousands of people. Yeah. And then we have like a collective amnesia regarding it.
Right.
But then we have an event that's only
maximum
attended
hundreds.
by, even let's say 100 people, for example. And that has held the precedence in history over that event.
For sure.
You understand?
For sure. This is the point. That's what I mean by the dishonor.
And people don't even think that, look, they're trying to do something here, but history is saying that the Prophet has not been buried yet. So we have some Muslims that are with the Prophet, and then we have some Muslims that are planning on
they're just looking
who
for
the
power,
next
basically.
successor is. You know what I mean? Isn't it? Why couldn't they wait?
Well, it's not just...
Couldn't you show a bit of respect and honour and at least bury and then call a meeting?
Bro, like for me, like it's much, much deeper than that, right? The waiting thing, okay, so like their argument is that it was so vital to have a leader, right, so quickly. But, bro, the dishonour is the leader was declared.
Yeah.
The leader was there. He like, there was no legitimacy whatsoever to the whole of Banu Sa'id as Saqifa. Like, that whole thing had no, like, legitimacy, importance, relevance. It was a non-event that basically eventually manifested as the collective decision of the Muslims and Arabs.
It was the day that Muslim Ummah was
betrayed.
Betrayed and was heading for destruction, bro.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Completely agree with that. And this is the thing. So my point was, right, that they hold on to this idea of keeping their honour by still holding on to this tradition of wearing headdress.
Yeah, they like to keep on hold of their turbans.
Right?
Yeah.
But they ignore the vital piece of honour, which was the
pledge.
Yeah, thank you.
The biggest honour is your pledge, my brother. I mean, not something that's on your head. So they want to keep that mark of honour
because it's an appearance thing, isn't it? Like
but they want appearances. Yeah, but they want to remove the honour from their hearts and their mouths, their tongues, bro.
Exactly.
You understand?
That's very deep and very sad, but it is obviously a reality, isn't it? So, anyway, I think that's a good point to bring in our next clip.
In this day and age, the turban or the headdress has become the attire of the non-working scholars. The scholars of Islam that use it as a way to distinguish themselves from the normal people, from the normal public, a way to say that they are the representatives of the Messenger of Allah, a way of them attaining a special status in society, and they do so in hypocrisy, and they do so while lying on the Prophet and his Messenger and abandoning the Imam of the time, and while being, as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ rightfully described the scholars of the end times, the worst creation that are under the sky.
Yeah, so
the scholars of the end times,
right? They're like making themselves stand out. Yeah. They're making themselves, like, obviously
the caretakers of the religion.
Yeah, more important than everybody else.
Everybody else. Yeah.
And everybody else has to obey them because technically they represent the Prophet.
They represent the Prophet, they represent the Imam, they represent God. Yeah, they have the whole package ready.
Right?
Yeah.
But where's the hypocrisy? The hypocrisy is in the fact that they've turned their backs and continue to turn their backs to the Imam of the time.
Yeah.
This is an obligation. Mm-hmm. You cannot be... like, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, whoever dies without pledging allegiance dies the death of ignorance. And he also said, whoever dies without knowing the Imam of his time dies the death of ignorance. The link is, I've said this before, the link between both narrations is the death of ignorance and the avoiding of it, which means both actions are necessary in order to avoid the death of ignorance. So pledging your allegiance to the Imam of your time, that's the only way to avoid the death of ignorance.
It's the only way out of ignorance.
Okay, now the crazy thing is you've got all these scholars who basically dress themselves up in a certain way, manipulating the people, lying to the people, convincing the people that they have authority over the people, when that statement that we just made, the death of ignorance, can only be avoided by pledging allegiance to the Imam of the time, which means there's a single man out there in the world, right, who has the authority from God to speak on behalf of God, and recognizing and pledging allegiance to that individual, to that man, is key to not being ignorant.
Yeah.
which means that all these scholars are leading you into ignorance.
Into ignorance.
And keeping you there.
Yeah, and ignorance is evil.
Right. That's the
thing.
saddest part for all the people.
It's the basis of evil.
Right.
This is where evil stems from, is the ignorance. And so.
Well, ignorance of God and good, right, leaves you in evil and darkness and with the devil, basically, right? Because it goes back to the act of prostration.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why it's very important that one pledges to the Imam of his time, or recognizes the messenger from God in his time, because it keeps you safeguarded from this evil of ignorance.
For sure, yeah.
Otherwise, because without this beacon of light from God, who comes as the messenger, the only other beacon is the beacon that will lead you towards the path of darkness.
No, absolutely, yeah.
So we have to hold on to the messenger of your time. That's why it's saying you must recognize. It's very important that you recognize this. Recognize the messenger of your time, because without it, you're going to die the death of ignorance. So it doesn't mean what you know. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what you follow.
Or
it's
what you wear.
Or from the most important thing is that you follow the right man.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, the right man will be
we keep on saying this again and again, but we have to. Because to follow the right man, you have to, first of all, recognize him. For that, there has to be a criteria.
Yep.
And for you have to know this criteria. And the criteria is basically completely simple.
Very simple.
It's in the religious books. And Abu Sadiq al-Islam, from him his peace, has said and has shown you the formula. If you use this formula, going back into the past histories of the prophets and their stories, you will see this formula being used every single time,
for sure,
to recognize the messenger or the imam of the time.
Definitely, like without a shadow of a doubt. And this is the thing, that formula doesn't change because it's a sunnah from God. It's something that God
and God's
placed,
sunnah is not up for change.
It's something that God placed in the world in order that it can always be consistent, always be there, always be relied on, and never lead anyone astray. So, like, the point is, all these individuals out there who basically dress themselves in the attire of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, they don't represent the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, at all. They don't represent anything from God. All they do represent is themselves. And when they speak in the manners that they tend to be quite charismatic. They use certain words and phrases.
They use subconscious
manipulation.
For example, they will never say, "Oh, I'm important. I'm the imam. I'm the leader. I'm from God." But their mannerisms and the way they act, they sit, they speak amongst the people, they are trying to show otherwise. It's like they're trying to put seeds into your mind that they're very important. They have authority.
They're very opportunistic.
When they don't actually hold any authority from God at all.
Yeah, exactly. This is the point.
So you see how they work.
And this is I was just about to say.
Yeah.
They don't work.
No, they don't.
They're non-working scholars, right?
The way they work,
operate,
it doesn't work.
Exactly.
No.
Like they are the non-working scholars that Sadiq, from whom his peace, pointed out. They don't work. They don't work for God. They don't work for you. They don't work for anything.
They work for themselves only.
Like they operate in a manner that convinces you that they are worth giving your time, your money, your support to, and they give you nothing back apart from false knowledge, falsehood, ignorance, literally. And it's quite sad to see that the millions and millions and millions of people out there who follow this man or that man or this man or whoever it may be, like the Mufti Meniks or the Zakir Naiks or whoever it may be, right? All those millions of people are basically like literally following them into hell, right? Because they're ignoring the Imam of their time. They're giving such importance to men who have no authority from God, and they're essentially leading themselves into this
pits of hell, bro.
Yeah, self-destruction, basically.
Self-destruction.
Anyway, let's bring up our final clip, I believe it is.
And so now that it's become associated with the scholars, we prefer not to use that type of attire. We don't like to wear the turban because we might be confused with them. People might not be able to tell the difference between us and between them. And so while it's not an obligation, I take the black hat as my crown. I take the beanie hat and I wear it pridefully so, proudly so, because this hat is a symbol of the working man. That's how it first was invented. It came as a way to keep the working man warm when he's outside and he's working all day to feed his family with minimum wage. People all around the world began to wear it, and it became a symbol of the poor man, the working class man. And for that reason, because we have come to represent those people, the poor people and the working man, and not to come and sit on platforms and rise ourselves above the people. We take this as a symbol, as a headdress, as a reminder that God is above us, and as a way to humble us and make us one of the people.
Quite the contrast between Abba Sadiq, from whom is peace, and his attitude, and the attitude of the non-working scholars,
yeah.
Right? Abba Sadiq, from whom is peace, declared that he deliberately chose the beanie hat because it's the working class, the working man's attire. And to distinguish himself from the non-working scholars, those who essentially, what's the word I'm looking for? They leech on the people. Those definitions of evil, to distinguish himself from them.
Leeches are basically bloodsuckers.
Literally. To distinguish himself from them, he wears the beanie hat.
Yeah.
And it's in respect of the working man, the people out there who struggle to feed their families and so on, not these leeches, you know what I mean?
Now look what's happened, you have the turban, that's the honor of the Arabs.
Right.
Yeah. But now it has become a symbol of dishonor.
Yeah.
And someone that is non-working.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, Abu Sadiq al-Islam, from him is peace, has said that now the beanie, which he has made the crown upon his head, is the symbol of the poor working man.
Yeah.
Now, you see, like you mentioned earlier, that's become the Y, the non-working scholar, and you have the X, that we have the working scholar.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the attire of honor now
is the beanie.
100%. You understand? It only has honor when there are certain works of God that are done.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
And if a work of God is done without a hat, it's still honorable. With a hat, yes. It still has the same meaning and it has the same symbol.
The point is, by the way, works for God include feeding your family, feeding the poor, doing things that are selfless. And the fact that we have this distinction, Abba Sadiq, from whom is peace, makes it very clear that he does not want to be associated with these, I'm going to call them clergy, right? Clerics and scholars of misguidance and all of them.
It's a good definition.
Yeah, the people who basically represent religion but don't represent God, right?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Right.
Yeah.
These people, he doesn't want to be associated with them. In fact, he challenges them all to prove that they have any authority on any level, and more importantly, This is one of the things we've struggled with in this call. We've actually declared our stance. We've made it very clear that we are with the Imam of the time, the Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, and we've asked all those who are experts in Islam, whether it's the clergy, scholars, whoever it is, the highest in the land, we've said to them, come, let's debate, let's talk, let's discuss how you can identify the true Mahdi from the false claimants.
Yeah.
And this is a 10-year challenge now. We've been at this for 10 years almost. Not a single one of them has come forth with anything resembling what we have. And what we have has been recognized by the religious professors that I told you, the professors of religion in various universities.
In the academic circles,
exactly.
they know the value of this book here, the Goal of the Wise. They understand what it means and what's written in there.
Yeah.
And how it's backed up by proof, references, history. It's all there.
Yeah.
So they understand how important and groundbreaking this book is.
Yeah, and the only difference is they're not following a particular doctrine.
Yeah.
Like, these are academics for the sake of academia. These are people who basically make religion their focus because they want people to have an understanding of what religion means, not any particular religion, meaning they don't indoctrinate people with religion.
Yeah.
Right, the way these non-working scholars do. And all the indoctrination that the non-working scholars come out with is false.
Yeah, because the indoctrination, they have to do this.
Exactly.
Because their power does not come, or their appointment does not come from God.
Absolutely.
They know their appointment comes from the people here. So they have to justify themselves to get the support of the simple people.
Yeah.
Actually, these people are genuine, they're simple.
Yeah.
They actually want to believe in God.
Yeah.
They are genuine with the Prophet and the Imams. They basically want to know the truth.
Yeah. That's why I said I feel sorry for the Muslims, you know what I mean?
But the thing is, they have to be also held accountable. I mean, you can't say it's the other person's fault, because to know your own religion, it's like mandatory upon you to do the research, to gain the knowledge, even if you have to go to other foreign lands to get it.
For sure.
Meaning it's upon every man, woman, and child. And I like to say women because women are included in this as well.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, everyone out there basically has an obligation to themselves and has an obligation to God. And that obligation is to determine whether what I'm upon is truth or falsehood. And it's not something that will be done for you. Like, your conviction comes from inside. If you're convinced something is true, then there has to be like an indisputable kind of proof upon yourself that makes it so. But if there is something that generates a level of doubt, then it's upon you to actually fix that. Meaning, you ask the questions that are relevant in order to remove that doubt, and or confirm that doubt. Right? So if you're following someone blindly, then you're a fool. But if you're following someone and you genuinely have an interest in knowing the truth behind what they're teaching you, then you will take those steps to determine whether that person is trustworthy or not. You know, and this is why we keep inviting you to investigate this call.
So, by the Qaim, from him is peace, by him wearing the beanie, what is he symbolizing? What is he trying to tell everyone out there? Well, he's trying to tell everyone, he's trying to make a very important statement. He's trying to say, listen, I'm not standing with the scholars who have these turbans. I have nothing to do with them. I have nothing to do with these politicians. My position and stance is from God. I stand in front of every single person, representing God. as an equal. I'm not even saying I'm better than you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm only saying God's appointed me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I've appointed myself, like the so-called
so beautiful,
scholars.
so poetic, man.
And the thing is, people have to be able to recognize that this man is genuine.
100%.
And the thing is, the beanie is a mark of honor in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because why? Because it shows that this man is standing with the oppressed,
for sure,
the meek, the weak, the poor, the starving. And the thing is, what else does anyone need as proof? You understand?
Yeah.
What else does anyone need? As you know, I mean, do they need something else, another statement or something to convince them that this man is genuine?
Yeah.
Read the book.
Yeah.
The book and the manifesto that's come out now, it explains perfectly in simple layman terms what this call means and what this man is willing to do for you and what he represents in this day and age.
For sure. On that point, we've said everything we can say, and I just want you all to take that step. It's a very necessary step. Investigate, call us out, speak to us, just find out more about this call, about who Abba Sadiq, from whom his peace is, and
together let us finish the poverty in the world, and let's get rid of this injustice.
Absolutely. On that note, you've been watching Where Is God Today. Thank you very much for joining me, brother.
Thank you for having me, my brother.
I love you, bro.
Love you too. It's an honor to be here.
We love you all out there.
We love you too. Thank you so much.
Have a good night and God bless.
Okay.
Are you appointed by God? If the answer is no, I'm not appointed by God, then thank you very much. I don't want to hear about it, because you don't have the right to talk in the name of God.